Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back. Yes, people, it's been a while, but yes, the Dominica Bureau of Standards in the Spotlight program is back. Welcome back to another very, very, very informative, very educational, and very important program tonight, brought to you by the Dominica Bureau of Standards. I'm your host, of course, Joseph Fadol, and tonight our program will be focused on labeling requirements for foods and goods. All right, people, we're going to talk about labels. We're going to get a kind of a breakdown, about labels tonight, especially with the fact that the independence season is approaching. You have a lot of people coming down, vendors, local processors, they want to be selling their goods. I know TV Large Quayol is on, the World Creole Music Festival is on, and different markets are going to be opening. A lot of people are coming down, and not just necessarily Dominicans, but a lot of new people, and they know about those things, so that when they come down to Dominica, they want to know that we on par, if you know what I'm talking about. All right, so we're going to be talking about that. The independent season again is coming up. Vendors, local processors, they're going to be busy selling, displaying. But did you know that there are compulsory standards? Okay, you have to do it in a particular way that govern how products must be labeled before a customer touches them. In fact, before they even go out, they have to be labeled in a proper way. Now, to help us break down, help us understand, tonight is class 101, especially with the fact that today is actually the official teaching first day of school. Why they matter? We're joined by Miss Angelique Dorival, the technical assistant in the Standards Compliance and Inspection Unit at the Dominica Bureau of Standards. She is the guest tonight. We also want to welcome all our listeners on all our frequencies of DBS Radio, also streaming live on the 2 television channels on Flow and Digicel, and this program is also being streamed live on the DBS Radio YouTube channel and Facebook page, audio only. All right, so we're gonna just settle in, get your pens, get your papers out, especially the fact that if you are a manufacturer, if you're a producer, if you're a processor, if you're a vendor, you definitely want to stick around for the next few minutes right here with Standards in the Spotlight as we talk about labeling, the importance of labelings, the compulsory aspect of it. All right, we're gonna get it right tonight. We're gonna come back in 60 seconds right here on DBS. Welcome back to Standards in the Spotlight, where the topic tonight is label it right. We are going to be understanding compulsory labeling requirements. Joining me tonight is Miss Angelique Dorival, Technical Assistant, Standards Compliance Inspection Unit at the Dominica Bureau of Standards. Ms. Dorival, good evening. What's up? Welcome to Standards in the Spotlight. How are you doing?
Okay. Good evening to you, Joseph, and good evening to all the listeners of DBS Radio. It's truly a pleasure to be here this evening.
All right. So, of course, as we indicated in our introduction, and not necessarily just because of the fact that the independence is coming up, but generally, we want to have good labels.
Right.
But before we even dive into the whole compulsory aspect and diving into the depth of things, first of all, I want our listeners to, and those following us on YouTube right now and Facebook, I want them to understand what is a label? What exactly is the physical thing that we are talking about tonight? What is a label?
Okay, so a label is any written or printed or graphic display of information that's attached to your product. Its purpose is to identify the product, provide essential information, and communicate, for example, warnings and instructions.
Okay, so basically, when I pick up, let's say, like a bag of chips,
Right.
a bag of, let's say, local chips, the vendor's name, the let's say a picture of, let's say, a picture that they may have taken in the garden of a plantain tree, something. At the bottom they have, their location, their phone number. At the back of it, when I flip it, all the instructions with the, how many calories it has, how much grams of sugar.
Yeah.
That is basically
The label.
the label.
Yes, it is.
All right. Okay. Now, what is labeling?
Okay, so they do sound very similar, but the labeling is the process of preparing and providing all the required information for that product. This is where the designing of your label comes in. You have to make sure that it's legible, it's durable, it doesn't get destroyed very easily, it's very easy to understand because you're trying to communicate with your customers. It's supposed to include the compulsory details. So this is where you try to find out exactly all the information that is required for the type of product that you have. For example, the product name, the net contents, the list of ingredients, all of this is information that you need to know prior to add to your products. It's basically making sure that you are in compliance with the national standards that we have here. So while the label is the physical aspect of it, is the information that's attached to the product. The labeling is the entire process of creating and applying that information.
Okay, all right. So, obviously, labeling will have some requirements, something that they would have to follow. I have been told by you, you came by me the other day and you said, "Boy, Joseph, boy, your plantain chips deadly, and you should sell it, and you should bag it and sell it, and it will sell because you have me licking my fingers." You understand?
Yeah.
Look, what would be some of the labeling requirements so that I can, let's say, start with my plantain chip business?
Okay. So when we talk about labeling requirements, we're basically talking about the set of rules that tell us what information must appear on a product's label before it's allowed to be sold. Now, it's not just about having a pretty design or a nice logo or a fancy brand name, although that is very important. It's really a tool for communication. The label is how the business speaks directly to the consumer without even being in the room with them. So it must be clear, it must be accurate, and it must be truthful. It should say exactly what the product is and provide details that help consumers decide if it's suitable for their needs. A good label takes away the guesswork. It makes sure that when you pick up a product, you know exactly what you're getting.
Okay, so I go to one of the supermarkets, and I should be able to read it clear, like you said, clear, accurate, truthful. We know that a lot of companies, they they have like a home printer, for example, and they may not be able to go to like a proper designer and so on. But sometimes we see a lot of the local companies, they have some difficulty, especially in the clarity of their labeling. What would be some of the things that you'd like to suggest to them? I have actually seen it, like you said, clear, accurate, truthful. The information would be accurate. The information would be truthful, but they print it on a little home printer and just kind of stick it on. What would you like to start to say to some of the small businesses in terms of getting the clarity of their labeling in order?
Okay, so first and foremost, we have to understand that labeling is very important. It cannot be the last minute thought. You have to really put in the effort. So if you are trying to print your labels and it's not being printed very clearly, you ultimately have to get the assistance, whether it's from somebody you know or a niece that's probably good at those things, or you'd have to go to the organizations or the companies, sorry, that do
Okay,
printing,
okay. Like a
like
print tree
right, or
or
Deepex or
Deepex
somewhere.
or one of them. All right, because we see a lot of the companies. When you watch it, the print is very very fine, and then yes.
Yes, also I would like to mention that I know we're always trying to save on the cost of printing, so sometimes you might try to print your label very small, but it has to be large enough that the information is able to be printed properly as well.
Are there consequences to not
Yes.
having, let's say, clear labeling? Because I see this product, it looks attractive, and I'm not able to read the quote unquote the fine print, because like you said, I'm trying to save on costs. Are there consequences of not following the proper labeling requirements?
Okay, so yes, there really are. There are legal consequences that are outlined
Okay.
in the standards regulation. But let me just stress that our main goal at the Bureau is not to punish anyone, it's to help businesses comply. Compliance benefits everyone, it protects consumers, and we're all consumers at the end of the day. It strengthens businesses and it maintains a fair market. But the law does make it very clear. So, as it relates to non compliance with the compulsory national standards, under the statutory rules and orders, which is the SRO, number 7 of 2020, Part 737, which it states, and I quote, the Bureau may direct that any advertisement, label, or packaged used in connection with any goods, service, process, or practice for which a compulsory standard has been declared be published or used in trade only with the approval of the Bureau. End quote. And it also continues in Part 739, and I quote, a person who advertises, labels, or packages goods, service, process, or practice contrary to any direction of the Bureau or without obtaining the approval of the Bureau, where approval is required, is guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction to a fine of $1,000 and to imprisonment for 6 months. End quote. So yes, there are serious consequences, but again, our role is to work with the businesses so that they understand the requirements and avoid those penalties altogether.
All right. So, you're a company out there, a young company. You have a good product. Clear. Get your labelings clear. Invest in some good proper labeling. Of course, we just highlighted some of the importance for the consumers. It would be good for the consumer that they see it clear, they would see it accurate, truthful. But vendor, I want us to speak from the vendor standpoint. Why is proper labeling important for a vendor?
Okay.
All right.
So on the vendor side, a proper label actually protects the business. A compliant label builds credibility, and it prevents problems like recalls, fines, or consumer complaints. It helps build that trust with the consumer. It makes your product look more professional and trustworthy on the shelf. And even beyond our local market, labeling is very important. So, if a business wants to expand into other markets, whether it be regionally or internationally, proper labeling is usually one of the first requirements before export is even considered. So, it has its benefits for both your customers and your business at the same time.
Let me ask you a question. You mentioned about products to the export market. Is Dominica on the same standards as at least majority of countries out there? I know that we've signed on to a lot of agreements. Is Dominica on par with a lot of the foreign countries where products get exported out of Dominica, and they fall within the requirements of the proper labeling that these international markets also require?
Yes, we are. Our national standards are based off of the regional and international standards.
Okay,
So, yes, we
okay.
do. But I would always advise
Yes.
the businesses to do their own research
Okay,
before
okay.
they do the export. Make sure that your label meets the requirements of the region wherever it is that you plan to export.
Does the Bureau of Standards assist in offering such information? I want to. I have a skincare product that is doing well in Dominica. A few people have told me, you should consider sending it to Guadeloupe or Martinique or Saint Lucia. Can I come to the bureau and ask, well, okay, what are the standards in terms of labeling that I would need to be able to have my Dominican product on a French market shelf or St. Lucia market shelf? Does the bureau offer that information as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We do.
All right, and of course, we're just a phone call away, or
Always
you
a
can
phone
just
call away.
come up to the stock farm area and get that information.
Definitely.
Very, very, very simple. All right. We're going to take a small detour. When we come back, we'll exploring more on labeling right here on Standards in the Spotlight. Welcome back to Standards in the Spotlight. Tonight, the topic is Label It Right, understanding compulsory labeling requirements. We're starting off our session, our class this evening with, two basic definitions. What is a label and what is labeling? Now, Mr. Dorval, earlier on, I kind of gave a bit of emphasis on the vendor, on the producer. I know earlier on you mentioned three very, very, very critical points: clear, accurate, truthful. I am a consumer, all right? How important would proper labeling be for me? I want to know that, I see something, how important is that label, what I am seeing on a product, a package, how important is that for me?
For you as the consumer, it helps with making safe choices, very informed choices. It basically helps you with the overall decision making, like I said. You get to know exactly what's inside the package, how to use it, and whether it suits your needs overall. So, for example, someone with high blood pressure is very conscious about their salt intake, so they will be checking for the salt content in the products that they want to purchase. Someone with a peanut allergy, for example, will definitely be checking if peanuts are part of the ingredients or if the product is prepared near the allergy.
Okay, so it has a sort of a health aspect
Yes,
to it
definitely.
as well. Are there any other benefits other than the health aspect that you indicated? At least very heavy emphasis on allergies, and like you said, peanut allergy is one. Health conscious, for high blood pressure. But are there any other aspects other than those two that would be also as important?
Well, this is basically what it is, but
Okay,
everything
okay,
else falls into
into
that.
that. All right, all right. So it's important for you as a customer, a consumer, look at your labels. Don't just pick it up off the shelf. You can see something and you say, okay, it's a can of beans, but there's something in the beans, like you said, or in the lentils, or in the product, you're allergic to it. So read it and read it well. All right, people. So that's the importance of watching your labels and the labeling properly. Okay. Um, walk us through some of the walk us through the you mentioned the word compulsory, and for our listeners who are listening out there, compulsory means that it must be done, or
Right.
it must have that. No exceptions, no excuses, no ifs, what's, I don't even know the how the saying maybe
Maybes.
is about it. It must be there. All right. Walk us through the compulsory labeling standards, all right, that we have here in Dominica. Walk us through them.
Okay, so right now, Dominica has 8 compulsory national labeling standards that businesses must follow. Each one applies to a specific type of product. So we have one, the general principles for labeling of products. Okay, well, this one is like a base standard for the others. It's
Okay,
applicable to all goods for trade,
okay.
except for which more specific requirements have been identified. This is where the others fit in because all of the others are specifications.
So that one is like the top one, and then the others kind of, if necessary, kind of branch out from it if
Right.
necessary.
Definitely.
Okay, all right. So the 8 of them you said. Can we explore the
Yes.
ones? Can we explore them so that as listeners we have a better understanding when we go to the supermarket or when we go to buy a good or something, we and we look at a label, we know, hey, I heard that on standards with you, and this is what this means. Can we go through the breakdown of them?
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
So, like I said, we have the first one, which is the general principles for labeling of goods. Then we have 2, the specifications for the labeling of prepackaged goods. This one refers to goods such as cleaning supplies, cosmetic products, products that are not generally for consumption. So things we use externally. We have 3, the specifications for the labeling of prepackaged foods. This one refers to goods such as, well, foods, of course. We have snacks, drinks, medications, things we usually consume, internal uses. We have four, the specifications for the care labeling of textiles. This one provides a system of symbols for textiles, clothes, etc. So there are care procedures for restoring and cleaning the textile. For example, we have the bleaching, washing, drying, pressing, and dry cleaning instructions. Five, the specifications for the labeling of all products manufactured from textiles. This one specifies the basic labeling requirements for garments and other products manufactured from textiles. For example, requirements such as the country of origin, the size and dimensions of the label, the fiber content, whether it's 100% cotton or 65% polyester and 35% cotton, etc. Six, the specification for the labeling of domestic electrical appliances. So this one speaks to goods such as refrigerators, coffee machines, televisions, irons, washing machines, etc.
Okay.
Seven, the specifications for the labeling of brewery products. This one includes products like beer, stouts, shandies, and malts. And finally, the specifications for the labeling of retail packages of cigarettes. This one is for individual packs of cigarettes with requirements such as the presentation of the health warning, etc. So together, these standards ensure that the products on the market give consumers the basic information that they need, whether it's a food or clothing item or household appliance. Every business, big or small, has to comply with whichever standard applies to the label on their product. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So there's the general one, specifications for prepackaged goods for non-consumptions. Example you gave is like Clorox,
Right.
soap, either soap,
Toothpaste.
toothpaste.
Lotions.
Again, I'm guilty. Some. Well, I mean, growing up,
You used to eat those things.
yeah. Well, no, I not the soap. Maybe the tooth when
The
you're brushing your
toothpaste,
teeth
yes.
and so on. Prepackaged foods. Prepackaged foods. That's the third one. Textiles. You indicated about the symbols. If I want to, I want to ask you, if I may, about the symbols. What are some of the what do some of the symbols look like? Because I know, I don't think they're gonna put a whole 8.5 by 11 breakdown
Right.
on a shirt or a dress. I'm pretty sure they would probably, let me see if I have, oh no, yes, so I have my shirt on here. Okay, it does have some words on it, but there are some textiles that have symbols. What do some of these symbols look like, and what do some of them mean, or some of the more basic ones that our consumers should know about? Maybe one or two, or some of the more important ones.
Okay, so for example, for the ironing instructions, you would probably see an image of an iron.
Okay, yeah, okay, all right.
You have, for example, bleaching might be represented by a triangle, and if
Okay.
bleaching is not allowed, you might see a triangle with an X.
Over it.
Over it,
Okay.
right.
So, okay. All right. So iron, of course, that it would look like an iron. Bleaching, it'd be a triangle.
Right, washing
Or-
instructions, for example, in
Okay.
terms of the temperature you can wash or what you should not exceed.
Okay. All right. Normally that would be in quote unquote in words. Normally. All right.
Well, symbols. You
Sym-
might see the symbol on it. You might see
all
maybe a
right.
few words attached as well.
Okay. All right. Going to number 7, which is brewery products. malts. You indicated beers. Does it only cover beers?
It
At,
covers beers, stouts, shandies, and malts.
Shandies, malts. Okay. Other beverages, like let's say sodas, even water. Where would those fall under?
These would fall under the specifications for the prepackaged foods.
Okay, okay, all
Anything we
right.
consume.
Okay, so specifications prepackaged goods, that's number 2, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so that's number
3 actually for foods.
prepackaged foods. You're correct. Yes, yes. Number 2 is the prepackaged goods non-consumptions. All right, so prepackaged foods, that would be let's say water, juice, sodas, wines would fall under those as well.
Wines would fall under prepackaged foods.
Uh-huh.
If the alcohol content is more than 10%,
Okay,
it
okay,
falls under prepackaged goods.
okay. If it falls under 10,
If the alcohol
alcohol
content is less than 10%,
10%.
it's a prepackaged food.
okay, and if
If
it
it's
is
more than 10%,
Mhm.
it's a prepackaged good.
it's a prepackaged
Good.
good.
Yes, I understand that sometimes it can be a little
Yes.
tricky, which is why you can always come and speak to us when
Yes.
you're doing your product to make sure that you are following the
The
correct
correct.
standard.
All right, all right. Okay, what we talking about foods. A lot of people are, they're gonna be coming down. They're definitely gonna be enjoying our local foods. They want to take back a few packages with them. As a consumer, what key pieces of information must be on a food? And I want us to break it down into, because we indicated goods and food. Those are the two, basically, not basically, well, the two ones that we were exploring, because it's either a good or a food. So what would be the key information that someone should look for as a consumer when they are going to buy?
Okay.
So let's break it down with food first.
Okay. Well, actually, I would just like to say that a lot of the requirements for both foods and goods are very similar.
Okay.
They really are. So
Okay.
a lot of the requirements that I'm going to speak about do apply to the prepackaged goods as well.
Okay. All right. So they basically sort of overlap each other.
Yes,
Some
they
of
do.
them
They do
overlap
overlap each other.
Okay. All right. All right.
So at a minimum, there are a few essentials that must be on every label. Like I said, we have the standard for general principles for labeling of goods, which applies to all of them. So I would like to say the name and description of the product. The consumers need to know what the product is at a glance. The net contents must be stated clearly in metric units, that being grams and liters, for example. The country of origin is also required because people have a right to know where the product is being manufactured. The label must also include any instructions for use, storage conditions, or safety precautions, depending on the type of product. And specifically for foods, the ingredients must be listed in descending order of weight, from most to least.
Okay. Okay. So the heaviest one would
Heaviest.
be at the top.
Right.
So let's say salt is or plantain would be the heaviest.
Yes, so let's say you have, like you say, you have your plantain
Yes.
chips. The first one would be the plantain for sure.
Okay.
Then you
alright.
have oil because you fry the plantain in
Okay,
oil,
okay,
and
alright.
then salt.
Okay.
So your list of ingredients would be plantain, oil, salt.
Oil, salt.
Right.
Okay. Should it be let's say the processor, the vendor, they would have to give an exact measurement of, let's say, how much oil they used in order to fry, and I'm not being, putting on anything for plantain
I
there,
know,
but
I know.
we're just using, plantain and plantain chips or breadfruit chips as a simple example.
No,
Um,
it's not necessary. You could just state it in the order.
the order.
Right.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Any others that you want to touch on a little bit? So you said food would be. Does it fall in the same way for goods as well in terms of the heaviest to the
Right.
lightest?
Yes, it also
Okay.
does.
Okay.
I'd also like to state here that the label again has to be very clear, it has to be easy to read, and durable, meaning that the information does not rub off easily. So, for example, if you're doing beverages, you have to make sure that the material you use for your label and the material you use for your printing is able to withstand the conditions in the refrigerator or the freezer.
So they'll have to be.
Because you have condensation, and then it
Yes.
could probably wet it, and then you have to make sure that it's not being smudged.
Okay, all right, all right. So it has to
So-
be printed on, let's say, approved
Right.
material. What would be some of the, for beverages, for example, it would be more like
Like a plastic,
plastic,
right.
or let's say like a gloss material, something
Yes.
like that. All right. Okay. Now, I know we've been speaking about the local aspect, because we're trying to, not trying, but we would like a lot of our vendors, our processors to get the labeling right. But are there different requirements for imported goods as compared to, let's say, locally produced goods?
Okay, so the requirements for both are the same. There isn't a difference. So whether a product is produced locally or imported, it must comply with the Dominica's compulsory standard before it can be sold. So I know goods that are imported usually arrive with labels already, but those labels are still checked against our standards. So if there's something missing, for example, if the net contents are not in metric units, or if there's no country of origin that's stated, the importer must correct it before the product can go on the shelf. So there's no difference again in standard requirements. It's about ensuring that every product on the market, no matter where it comes from, meets the same level of transparency and safety.
All right. Right. So you're listening to Standards in the Spotlight. It's time that we take a little bit of a breather. When we come back, of course, we are continuing to dive into the topic, label it right. We're understanding labeling requirements, what you should do as a vendor. You have a product, you have a good to offer, what you should do to get it right, and what you as a consumer need to look for in order that you also make sure that you get it right. We're going to take a small detour, and when we come back, more on this topic right here. Welcome back to Standards in the Spotlight, right here on your nation station, DBS Radio. The topic tonight, label it right, understanding compulsory labeling requirements. The guest tonight meets Miss Angelique Dorival, Technical Assistant, Standards Compliance Inspection Unit, Dominica Bureau of Standards. I have a question for you in terms of inspection, and I know for a fact that randomly the Bureau of Standards does sometimes they just go around sometimes in casual clothes. They don't even have like the uniform that we normally wear, and they do surprise checks.
Yes,
and
we
I
do.
don't mean that in any negative way against any supermarket or anything like that. I myself, sometimes when I walk into supermarkets, I've been around supermarkets, and I've noticed that not all the products meet or even have the requirements that you have actually mentioned and you've been talking about throughout the program. I know in the past Keisha has described that as non-compliance.
Yes.
Naomi has also described that as non-compliance. I think earlier on you even hinted when you were speaking about the laws, it's called non-compliance. So that means that they are not following. Non-compliance basically means that the person, the company is not following. What are and what have been some of the top areas of non-compliance that you as an inspector, you are also in the inspection unit
Right.
at the bureau. What are some of the non-compliance that you've observed in the market during your inspections, during your surveillance? Sometimes just you're doing a Saturday morning. Let's say you go into the market.
Right.
Say you have to pick up something from a supermarket, and you say you're in your casuals. And what have been some of the non-compliances that you've observed? The more top ones.
Okay, so we have definitely seen a few reoccurring issues. The top one being the missing batch numbers, missing or incomplete date marks. The proper name of the food and ingredients list there are usually issues with that, and incomplete manufacturer or importer details. So starting with the batch number, these are sometimes called lot numbers. It's a unique code that is assigned to a specific group of products that are made under the same conditions. Too often we see products with no batch number or blank space where they're supposed to include it. But batch numbers are critical for traceability. It's also a sign of accountability for the customers, showing that you as a manufacturer is serious about their safety. If something goes wrong, like a contamination issue, for example, a batch number allows the problem to be traced to a specific production run instead of recalling everything off the shelf. So it's unique to you, the manufacturer, so you come up with your code. You, as a manufacturer, can design your own batch number system based on the date, time, or like location of your production.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I actually wanted to ask. Does a vendor have to submit the batch number information to the bureau? Let's say based on let's say the products that they offer. So I did plantain chips in August. I did some in July, obviously, and July, the temperature outside was a bit hotter as compared to August. It was cooler. Would I have to submit the batch information or the batch number information with the details to the bureau?
No, you don't.
Okay,
You don't have
okay,
to submit
okay.
it, but once it's included on the label, especially on the label at the point of sale and interaction with the consumer, then it's accepted.
Okay, all right. What you said batch number, dates, listing of foods. Those are the more common,
Right.
recurring
So
ones. Yes.
with the date marks being another one, we
Mm-hmm.
found products again with the space for the date, but no actual date being printed. By date marks, I mean expiration dates, use by dates, best before dates, best by dates, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major concern because consumers rely on those dates to know if a product is safe for consumption
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
still fresh. A lot of times people don't understand the difference in these terms, so I think I should explain that a little bit.
Okay, sure. Reiterate what you're gonna be breaking down.
So we have expiration dates,
Mm-hmm.
use by dates,
Mm-hmm.
best before dates, best by dates, etc.
Okay. Okay. So go ahead.
So we have best before,
Mm-hmm.
best by, or best if used by.
Okay.
These are about the same.
All right.
So this is more about the quality of the product
Mm-hmm.
rather than its safety. It tells you that the product should have its best flavor or texture or nutritional value up to that stated date.
Okay.
Anytime after that, these characteristics are not guaranteed. So you can consume it, but it may lose its freshness and taste.
Okay. All right.
So that's the
Alright.
best before, best by, best if used by.
Okay.
We have used by dates.
Mm-hmm.
This focuses on the safety and quality as well, especially with products that pose higher risks, such as meats and fish and dairy products. The date stated is the last safe date to eat that particular product. Consumption afterwards can pose health risks.
Okay. All right.
So that's the use by date.
Used by. So if you use it after that, it wouldn't
No.
be quote unquote. It wouldn't be good.
No,
It wouldn't be good.
It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be good.
then we have the expiration dates. This is the absolute last date a product can be used. This one is often required by safety standards, for example, for products like baby formula or natural supplements. Anything beyond that date, the nutritional value is not guaranteed and it could pose serious health risks.
Right. So basically, that is where it would have to go in the rubbish.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Expire. Basically, just throw it in the rubbish.
Yes, just forget
Just
about
forget
it.
about it. Don't bother. Just
get
throw
rid of it. Yes.
Alright,
So,
alright.
I would advise persons to inspect the product regardless of the date stated. Just check for spoilage or weird smells or mold or unusual textures. It's always better to be safe than to risk it.
Alright. Are there any consequences for non-compliance? Are there any consequences for not complying with the with not having the requirements? Like, for example, you just indicated the batch number, dates, listing of foods. What would be the consequences if I don't have, let's say, one of those on my product?
Okay, so if you don't have the requirements, the first consequence obviously would be to have your product removed from the shelf.
Okay.
Definitely. If no corrective action is done, I had stated previously, and I think I should probably state it again,
Okay.
that we have the under the statutory rules and orders, it states, and again, I think I should quote it again.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay. So the Bureau may direct that any advertisement, label, or package used in connection with any goods, service, process, or practice for which a compulsory standard has been declared be published or used in trade only with the approval of the Bureau. End quote. And Part 39 states, and I quote, "A person who advertises, labels, or packages goods, services, processes, or practice contrary to any direction of the Bureau or without obtaining the approval of the Bureau, where approval is required, is guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction to a fine of $1,000 and imprisonment for 6 months.
Okay. So before I put a batch number, put a date, put a listing, I must get the okay from the bureau.
Yes, you
Okay.
must. So we provide a service called label evaluation.
Okay.
So you submit your labels to us, and we, based on the requirements, we work with you to let you know what requirements that you have to include,
Yes.
or if there's anything on your label that you should remove. So we work with you to ensure that you have all of these requirements. Once you meet these requirements, we give you something called a label approval letter that you can take to the supermarkets or the businesses that you want to sell your product to. This basically reassures them that your label meets the requirements of the standards.
All right, and that would be for selling at the supermarkets specifically, like registered companies.
Yes, and
Okay.
business places overall.
Okay, what if they say they're self-employed and they um distribute from their home, for example? Does it work the same way?
Once a product is for trade, yes, it does work the same way.
Okay, okay, all right. Now, as we're winding down, Independence is coming up. Independence is coming up. Vendors are listening. We highlighted a very heavy aspect, especially the health and safety for the consumers. But vendors and processors will be preparing a lot of products, like let's say coconut oil, jams, some of the chips.
Right.
What advice do you have for them?
Okay.
In simple.
Yes. So my biggest piece of advice would be to start preparing now. Start early. Don't wait until the last minute. Like I said, labeling is very important. Review your labels and make sure everything is included. Remember, you have to include your product name, the ingredients in the correct order, the net contents in metric, batch number, the date marks, and your contact details. So if your product is already made, because I know we have a lot of these amazing events coming up, like you said, the TV Lash Creole and NDFD Creole in the streets, you can still come check us at the bureau, because it's not too late to get your labels evaluated.
All right. Random question. Just shooting this off my head. I'm at the supermarkets. I'm not targeting the supermarkets, people, so that please don't block my purchase. I'm seeing this product, but I'm not sure whether or not it's meeting the standards. What steps can I as a consumer take? What steps can I as a consumer take? Can you probably also tell us, if the share with us, let's say, the role of the bureau in somebody like me, a consumer, and also not just the consumer, but a small business to getting their labeling right.
Right. Okay. So, if you are unsure, the best steps I would say is to reach out to us at the bureau. It's not too much to just make an inquiry. We know that compliance can feel overwhelming, especially for micro and small businesses. But that's why we're here to guide you. So if you plan to take your product to the supermarket shelf, get it evaluated by the bureau. The label approval letter, I said, gives additional assurance to the supermarkets that your product is in compliance with the standard. I would also like to state here that anyone can purchase the copy of the compulsory standards directly from us. So they serve as a practical guidebook for anyone making or importing products as well. The standards that are used the most right now, as we have stated, is the prepackaged goods and prepackaged foods. So the prepackaged goods standard is at $40 and the prepackaged food standard is at $50.
Okay, that would be for vendors.
Anyone, actually,
Anyone?
yes.
Okay.
Once you're interested, you're able to purchase it from the bureau.
Right. A consumer is coming back from the consumer standpoint. They're not sure. They listen tonight. They're going to the supermarket. They're going to somebody tomorrow, and they're not sure. What is there something that consumers can do as well? Can they call the bureau?
They can definitely call us.
Okay.
They could also look at our social media pages. Sorry, we have a few flyers showing you exactly what the requirements are visually.
All right. All right. Well, I think we've kind of knocked off what we have to knock off for tonight in terms of labeling, getting it right, understanding labeling, understanding what are some of the requirements. Not some, but what are basically the requirements for you as a company, you as a vendor, and you as a consumer to look out for as well. Angelique, as we wrap up, final words.
My advice would be to, like I said, don't wait until the last minute. Reach out early, send us an email, call us, visit our office. We currently have 3 offices: the head office in Stock Farm, the Woodbridge Bay Port office, and we have a port office in Portsmouth at the Inland Reception Buying Center.
Okay, so if you see something as a consumer, 3 locations, check them out. If you're a vendor, you want to improve, or you want to, start your labelings for your products, 3 locations. Check out the Bureau of Standards. So we've come to the end of this edition. of Standards in the Spotlight, a program of the Dominica Bureau of Standards. The topic tonight: label it right, understanding compulsory labeling requirements. We've learned tonight that labeling isn't just about ticking boxes. It's about safety, it's about transparency, it's about accountability, both as a business. It's making sure that your business is credible. All right, a big thank you to you, Ms. Dorival from the Bureau, for joining me tonight. And thank you to all the listeners who are tuning in with us, radio, television, YouTube, and Facebook. If you want to learn more about the compulsory labeling requirements, please reach out to the Bureau. You can visit their website, www.dominicastandards.org, for more information. Follow them on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. It's very simple, at Dominica Bureau. You can also call 235-1592. Send an email, info@dominicastandards.org. Until next time, signing off on this episode of Standards in the Spotlight. We should be in with another episode on the 22nd of September. All right, and of course, as we end, we always try to end with something positive. And tonight we're going to end: quality and safety begins with standard compliance. All right. Thank you, everyone. And Angelique, good night.
Thank you. It was
All
a
right.
pleasure.
All right.